Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be covering AI agents and toolsets. Now, toolsets are how AI agents actually do things, like search code base, call an API, or maybe just do a web fetch. In this video, we're going to be covering tools, toolsets, permissions, and sandboxing. Now, there are three flavors of tools that we are going to be using in VS Code. We've got built-in, MCP tools, and extension contributed tools. Now, based on the prompt that you actually send to an agent, it automatically determines what tools and toolsets are going to be called. It's pretty smart. And with the best toolset that's being called, becomes the best result that you can possibly get. So it's a win-win situation for all. Okay, so I've opened up VS Code now, and let's just go and see how we can enable and pick some tools. So I've opened up chat on the right-hand side, and if you look along the bottom, I am in agent mode, I've got a model selected, and the tool picker is this little button here with the two lines that go across it. And if you click on that, you'll be faced with a drop-down palette, and this is where you can select all of the different tools that you would like the agent to run with. So for example, I've got all the built-in tools selected. I can select any external MCP servers that I've got. And this is also where you would see any toolsets that you created. Now, it's really important that when you are sending these prompts and when you're communicating with the LLMs, that you only select the tools that you need, as the more tools you have selected starts to burn down and use up a lot of the context window that you have available to you. So yes, it is good practice to continuously check what tools you're using and check to see if you actually need them. Now, you can see here I've got 97 tools selected. Arguably, that's probably still too much, but there is also a soft limit of tools that you should be having. It's advised to not have over 128. Now, if I wanted to install any MCP servers or extensions, I would come over to the left pane, I would select the extensions button, and in the top bar here for MCP servers, I would just type @MCP, and then I can, let's say, let's search for context 7, and I could go ahead and install MCP for context 7 if I wanted to. Alternatively, if I was just searching for an extension, I would search just as I would with regular search terms. Or if you've got a custom agent like I do here, I've got a test agent, and in the heading section, there is a line for tools. Now, this is denoted by tools and a colon, and then inside some square brackets, there is a list of available tools this agent has access to. Alternatively, you can actually click on the Configure Tools button inside VS Code on the Markdown file, and you'll be faced with a palette dropdown, which will allow you to incrementally add individual tools to that list if you selected them. As you can see here, I have only got a couple that I really want this agent to have access to, and one such as browsing the internet and integrated browser pages is not a tool that this agent needs access to. Now we know what tools are and how they're used. Let's see about referencing them and understanding how we actually use them as users. So in the chat window for GitHub Copilot, I'm just going to ask what this application is actually about, and I'm going to be using that using the hash key. So I'm going to say hash codebase, and you can see here that is a built-in tool, and I'm going to say, can you explain what this application is about? Now, that's just using the codebase tool, which knows specifically to reference the codebase itself and limit other interactions and other tool calls. I've overwritten what the agent may have wanted to do in the first place and explicitly told it only read the codebase. Okay, so now we've got our return value. It is explained that this is a Python project, and it has got a couple of CRUD functionality, so create, read, update, and delete, and that it is a Python project. Now, I only want to be using tools to do with Python, so I've gone ahead and created a Python toolset. Now, to get to a toolset, you would want to do Command, Shift, and P to open up the command palette, or on a Windows, that would be Control, Shift, and P. And I'm just going to type in toolset. I want to configure toolsets, and I can see I've got my Python development. In here, you can just check out the contents of this file. Now, if I were to only use the Python toolset with my agent, it would only have access to search, read, edit, pylance, syntax errors, and execution. So that just means that it is limited to the tools it has access to, and this is all written in JSON C structure. So it's pretty straightforward. Now, if I were to select this from the tool picker, again, I would come down to the tool picker, I would click on that one, and at the bottom, you can see user-defined toolsets. Now I know that whenever I'm writing for this Python application or whether I'm coding, I can just use this toolset instead of having to pick through all of the other ones that are available to me in the tool picker. Okay, and if you want to create your own toolset, what you would do from the tool picker is go to the top right and click on the cogwheel at the very top. You would then select create a new toolset file, and let's for argument's sake call this JavaScript tools. Inside here, we can then replace everything we have with JSON-C code, and let's just call this JavaScript development. There we go. Now, what I should be able to see it populate at the very bottom in my tool picker, just like this. I've got JavaScript development and Python development. It's pretty easy to make a toolset, and you can have some great customization options with this as well. The next feature we're going to talk about is permissions levels and approvals. Now, by default, you will have your default approvals turned on when you are using GitHub Copilot inside VS Code, but you also have the option to bypass approvals or use autopilot. Now, both of these are a little bit more dangerous than default approvals because it just means that they're able to auto-approve and auto-retry, as well as automatically answer clarifying questions and then reason based off of that as well. So I will show you what a dialog box looks like if I wanted to just search the web for Python best practices. Now, I'm using default approvals. I'm not using auto-approve. But what should happen is it will prompt me for access to the web, just like this with the dialog box. It's saying fetch web pages. So I can either allow that, review it, or continuously allow throughout the session, or essentially skip them. So if I was to use that on autopilot, it would automatically approve that for me. So if I enable it and I ask the prompt one more time, it should go off and do it without prompting me at all. There we go. So it's automatically figured out what it needs to do, and it's saying, I'll retry the web page fetch with a narrow query, which means it hasn't actually asked me for anything. It's just automatically gone off and done it. However, having user injection here means that you are protecting yourself against prompt injection. So making sure there's a user in the loop is really important, and you should always be careful when using autopilot or also approving tools that bypass your default approvals. The final feature we're going to talk about today is sandboxing. So even when a tool is enabled, this will actually help us to restrict its access to the system. So all I need to do is go to the settings for user settings and type in the box sandbox, find chat agent sandbox enabled. This is currently in preview at the time of recording the video. But if I just turn that on, that means that when enabled, the tools like the terminal will just run in isolated access and have very limited access to the host system itself. And to see this in action, let's go to the GitHub Copilot's chat window and let's just say run this app locally. Now, you'll see here that it has automatically recognized that it's in a sandbox. So it's saying ran source VMV, so starting a virtual environment for the Python application inside a sandbox for me. So you can see here, it has identified it's in a sandbox and it is now running. Down here, I can say allow. Let's just say I would like to allow this. This is an OK command to start the virtual environment and the Python application. There we have it. So it's now running inside that sandbox. Everything is isolated away from the actual host machine, and it is very much contained. And there's our product store demo. That is working. So there we have it. Make sure you're picking the correct tools, you're grouping them in tool sets, you're leaning on sandboxes for safety, and you're choosing the right permission levels for your agents. If you want to find out more about agent tools, head over to the documentation and go and check it out for yourself. Otherwise, like, subscribe, and I will see you in another video.